The first sound I remember from that night wasn't the wind or the rain. It was the faint, dragging scrape of the planchette moving across wood. We had only just begun. It was late October, in a quiet suburb outside Columbus, Ohio. The kind of neighborhood that smells like cut grass and barbecue even after dark, where porch lights glow over empty sidewalks. Our living room lights were dimmed, just one lamp lit beside the sofa. The Ouija board sat between us on the coffee table, candles flickering unevenly. We'd decided to try it out of curiosity, not belief. The box had been sitting unopened for weeks, a thrift store find that my girlfriend Lena thought was just a fun antique. The letters were faded, the edges worn. It looked like it had been touched by too many hands. The room was quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator and the occasional rush of wind through the trees outside. When the planchette started moving, the sound it made, a slow, deliberate scrape, felt louder than anything. We hadn't even asked a question yet. The pointer slid, unprompted, to the word yes. I felt Lena's fingers tense under mine. We both froze. The candles flickered hard enough to bend their flames sideways. The air changed, as if the house had exhaled. The planchette moved again. Y-O-U, then paused. S-E-E. My throat went dry. The air was thick, electric. I looked around the room, expecting something obvious, a reflection, a shadow. But everything was still. The lamp hummed faintly. Then came a dull, heavy sound from the hallway. Not a creak, not a thud. Something between the two, like a footstep on an uneven board. We stared toward the doorway. The air seemed heavier there. The planchette moved again. W-A-T-C-H. Lena's breathing quickened. I felt the pulse in her wrist where our hands almost touched. Outside, the wind picked up, howling briefly through the eaves. The old tree in the yard brushed against the siding with a rasping sound that felt too close. The planchette slid again, faster this time. S-H-A-D-O-W. I turned toward the hallway. The entry light was off, leaving it dark, but for just a second I thought I saw something move. Something darker than the dark itself, a brief shape gliding across the baseboard. The temperature dropped so sharply I could see my breath in the candlelight. We both sat, frozen. My chest felt tight, my heart pounding against my ribs. The board spelled another word, F-E-A-R. I didn't want to touch it anymore, but my fingers felt locked in place. The hallway creaked again, 2 sharp pops of wood, spaced evenly like footsteps, then silence. The candles guttered. The wicks smoked, filling the room with that faint, sour scent of burned wax. The planchette trembled once, then went still. For several seconds, neither of us moved. The only sound was the ticking of the thermostat on the wall. I reached over and flipped the lamp switch. Nothing happened. The bulb was dead. We both stared at the board. The planchette remained perfectly centered, pointer resting on nothing, as though waiting. I pushed back from the table, knees shaking. I stood and flicked on the overhead light. It buzzed to life with a flicker, pale and yellow. The moment it did, something fell in the kitchen, a sharp metallic clang. We turned. The sink faucet had switched on by itself, water streaming full force into the basin. The noise was deafening in the silence that followed. I reached the sink in 2 strides, turned the handle hard until it stopped. My hand shook under the cold water spray. When I turned back, Lena was still sitting at the table, staring at the board. The planchette was moving again. No hands touched it. It slid in a slow circle, clockwise, scraping the wood with a low rhythm, like breathing. Then it stopped. T-H-I-S. Pause. E-N-D-S. My skin crawled. I wanted to grab the board, throw it outside, burn it, but something in me hesitated, a primitive instinct to not make sudden moves. We backed away slowly, eyes locked on the board. The overhead light dimmed again, as if the voltage were being pulled from the house itself. Then the sound came, a low, distant rumble. Not thunder, but something deeper, heavier, like a vibration through the floorboards. The glasses in the cabinet rattled. Lena stepped closer to me, trembling. The rumble built until the entire room seemed to vibrate. Then it stopped abruptly, leaving a silence that was somehow worse. The planchette snapped to life one last time. G-O. And then it stopped moving completely. No breeze, no sound. We didn't say a word. We just gathered the board, turned it over, and slid it back into its box. The candles had burned almost halfway down. The wax puddled unevenly, as though something had brushed against them. That night, neither of us slept. Every small sound, pipes, wind, creaking wood, felt amplified. When the light finally came through the windows at dawn, it didn't bring relief. The house still felt wrong, like the air was heavier in certain rooms. We avoided the board for weeks, left it sealed in the closet under a pile of coats. But the noises didn't stop. It began with faint tapping, 3 soft knocks in the middle of the night, always from somewhere different. Then came the shadows, brief flickers at the edge of vision, darker than the corners they passed through. The thermostat clicking off on its own. The faint hum of something electrical that wasn't there. Once, while I was home alone, I found the board sitting on the kitchen counter. Still in its box, but the lid was open, the planchette resting on top. I hadn't touched it. Neither had she. The next night, the tapping came again, this time from inside the wall near our bed. Slow, deliberate, rhythmic. It was like the house itself was trying to breathe. Lena started leaving lights on overnight. I started keeping the radio on low when I was home alone. Days blurred. We didn't talk about it. But the tension built, quiet and constant. Then came the night everything broke. It was early December, the air outside brittle with frost. We were sitting on the couch, the TV murmuring low, when the power went out. Total darkness. The only light came from the street lamp outside, cutting faint beams through the blinds. Then, somewhere behind us, a single metallic click. I turned slowly toward the sound. The closet door, the one where we'd left the board, was open. The darkness inside looked deeper than before, thick, like fog that wouldn't move. The tapping started again, louder now. Not from the walls, this time from the floor itself beneath the couch. 3 slow knocks. Then silence. And then a whisper, not words, but the vibration of breath moving through space. We both felt it. A presence. Heavy. Focused. My chest seized with the weight of it. My pulse hammered in my ears. I grabbed Lena's hand and stood. The tapping stopped. For a heartbeat, there was nothing. Then the hallway light flared on by itself, flooding the room in sudden brightness. The Ouija board was sitting on the coffee table. Not the box, just the board. The planchette resting neatly in the centre. I don't know how long we stood there, staring. The air felt alive, humming with static. Then it moved. The planchette slid smoothly to FINISH. The moment it stopped, the entire house seemed to exhale. The air pressure shifted. The static faded. Something inside me snapped. The months of fear, tension, sleepless nights. I grabbed the board, ran for the back door, and stepped out into the freezing air. The wind cut sharp against my face. The world felt painfully real again. I walked to the fire pit by the fence and set the board inside. I didn't speak, didn't think, just struck a match. The dry wood caught quickly, orange flames licking up into the cold air. The board curled, blackened, split. The plastic planchette melted, releasing a faint chemical hiss. Lena stood behind me, silent. The light of the fire flickered over her face, As the last corner of the board turned to ash, the wind dropped. The night went still. The silence that followed wasn't heavy anymore. It was clear. We stayed outside for a long time, until the flames dimmed to embers. Inside, the air felt lighter, the rooms quieter. The faint knocking that had haunted us for weeks never came again. We never replaced the board. We never tried again. But every once in a while, when I walk past that patch of dirt by the fence where the fire burned, I can still smell the faint scent of smoke, even after rain. It doesn't frighten me. It feels like a reminder of something released, not something lost.